Joining me now from beautiful, sunny, and I'm quite jealous, Palm Springs is Jim J. Bullock. Jim, thanks so much for coming on Plus Talk with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on Plus Talk.
Well, look, you are a bit of an icon and institution when it comes to the world of comedy, especially when we think back to some of those great sitcoms and moments that we love from the 80s and 90s. But you are also a pioneer when it comes to talking openly and publicly about HIV. I mean, you were one of the first people out there on television that we knew that said, yeah, I'm HIV positive, right?
Well, I was HIV positive and on television, but I don't think I was so openly talking about it, in the 80s because it's a very scary thing. But yes, once I started talking about it in the early 90s, then I have never hid it or not wanted to talk about it.
Well, and I would say that even in the early 90s, when you did come out about it, I mean, it was still, and it still is, a taboo. I mean, I came out 2 years ago and it went viral, and there's still people, Jonathan Van Ness came out last year and it's heralded. So it is still something that shocks people, but I can only imagine for you, what was it like and what prompted the decision?
Um, it was a very scary time, and to be diagnosed with something that was so mysterious because I've been positive since 1985. It was just a death sentence in at that time. The only thing they had that was really that would help was oh my God, I'm losing my Bluetooth. I'm
That's
so
okay.
sorry.
We can pick it up. We can pick it
Wait,
up.
let me get my other Bluetooth because this one's
Sure.
dying. You're there. You're in my ear.
Thank God.
Thank God. Okay.
I'm in your ear and Tammy Faye's over your shoulder.
Is she really? I don't know what you're seeing.
She's watching you.
She's always watching me.
We'll get to Tammy Faye in a moment, but let's go back to that question. As I said, early 90s, it's still taboo to talk about HIV today. It's one of the reasons we created Plus Life. But what led to this decision, and what was that moment like for you?
When I initially was diagnosed and everything, is that what?
No, the decision to talk, I want to go further back, but I just want to touch on the moment that you decided enough is enough. I need to talk about this publicly.
Right. Well, it was actually a very freeing moment. I had a partner who died of AIDS in '96, and in '96 I did the California AIDS ride, and in honor of John. And it was during that time that I was just like, I mean, I think a couple of years prior to that, I had talked about it, but I just gotten to where it was like it had been a part of my life for so long. I was like tired of lying about it. I never lied about it. I just didn't talk about it, and I started talking about it, and it was a very healing thing to get something out and not carry it as a secret anymore. So
For
yeah.
someone though that had the profile that you do, and you did certainly then, was it? How do you go about making that disclosure? Was it sort of a calculated? You have to involve publicists and PR people, or was it something kind of organic that just happened?
Oh no, I didn't involve the publicist. No, it was totally personal, and it was. I I don't. It just kind of. I don't even know how it got out to the press. I don't remember ever meeting with uh, any certain press and saying I want to talk about my HIV status. It just got out there. I think through tabloids for one. I'm trying to go back and remember in my brain right now how it happened because there was so much shit that happened at that time with John and his death and the tabloids and how awful they were to him and with what he was going through. And he wasn't even in the entertainment industry, that it's a blur for me to remember how I was associated or got associated with it. But it was during that time that that's when it got out. And I sort of had a you attitude at that point.
Well, and fair enough too. I think, as you said, now let's go back to the diagnosis, 1985. That's the early days of the pandemic, really. Your career is really starting to rocket. You get told this. Did that scare the hell out of you? Did you think, oh gosh, it's over? Or how did you cope with that at that time?
Oh, wow. I was young and I was invincible, and there's so much to be said about youth, uh, and that that's never going to happen to me, kind of thing. And it kind of went in with my head when I heard it, and it went way in the back of my brain. And I just didn't really dwell on it. And it was like a year later, I really started thinking about, oh shit, this is not a good thing. And I just have always felt grateful that I've had the health I've had, and that I didn't go through what so many of my friends did go through,
Yeah,
and
and I
still
want to
going
talk
there.
and want to talk about that because am I right in thinking you didn't actually start antiretroviral treatment until relatively recently? And
Right.
you sort of fall into this quite unique group of people who have managed to sort of remain undetectable without having to go on medicine. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that worked? Because I imagine that has got to, it's a great thing, but also our community is suffering and people are dying, and you suddenly seem invincible.
Yeah, did not go on anything until like 2016. I went on Biktarvy, if that's how you say it,
Hmm.
the correct pronunciation of it. And only then I go on it because I was on tour with Kinky Boots, and I seemed to be getting colds a lot. And so my doctor said, you know what? I'm going to put you on this drug, and it's going to take care of the HIV, and it's going to let your immune system do what it needs to do, like fight off colds and stuff like that. So that's the reason I went on. Uh, and I still my counts are amazing. I'm so fortunate. I've always had zero detectability, and T cells that are beyond even the healthiest of people. Um, I always said that if I could, bottle whatever was in me, I would. I love to have been able to have done that and do that now. But uh, again, it's my situation is nothing I did that I created. It's just sort of I was kind of, I hate this word, blessed, but blessed to have the system that I do have, blessed to have come in contact with the strain of the virus that I apparently did, that has been dormant in my system for now almost 40 years. Holy shit. I'm so fucking old. Oh my God. Uh, but I'm just really um, very grateful.
So I imagine as quote unquote blessed, I'm not a fan of that word either. And watch now people jump all over the comments section in this video post. But as far as blessed as you are, what sort of effect does that have? We read and we hear a lot about survivor's guilt, which is slightly different to PTSD. But do you feel like you have experienced any of that, having lived through the worst of the HIV/AIDS pandemic? And now, thankfully, we are living in a time where, yeah, we take our pill, undetectable equals untransmittable, and all of that. But do you ever have moments of that feeling of why did I luck out, and for all the people you lost, including your partner?
Well, of course. I mean, you say, why me? Did I have survivor's guilt? No, I've never really had that. Why me? Why her? Why you? Life is not fair. It is what it is. Shit happens. I mean, that's sort
What
of
was
there we go. That capsulizes my Shit happens.
Shit, and it certainly does. What was the reaction career-wise for you when you disclosed at that time?
Oh, I was very afraid that it would, I've already felt that being gay had an effect on my career. I don't know if it did or not. I have no documentation of this, but
You didn't hear the conversations in the network conference rooms with the
oh
doors
no,
closed.
he's a sucker. No way we can give the role to him. No, I did not. Will that be bleeped out? I did not hear anything like that. It's just interesting. It was the time, the 80s and coming into the 90s was such a weird time. There was, gay characters on TV, and then they'd take them off. Like, oh my God, he got married to a woman, or she got married to a man. It's like they'd backtrack.
Right.
And then when Ellen came along, that's the first time, it sort of like started changing. And then all of a sudden you have, was Rosie O'Donnell next? I don't know. And then Will and Grace. And then, but
you're right. I mean, I think the world has adapted, and thank God we're a lot more accepting of LGBTQ plus individuals now. But we seem to sort of be still way behind the eight ball with the people who are living with HIV, which we now know is really, once it's under control and managed properly, no different than, say, having diabetes.
Absolutely. And, hopefully we will be there. It's just, there's always going to be ignorance, and there's nothing you can do about that. Shit happens. I mean,
shit happens. That should be the title of your next book.
I haven't written a book yet, but
I'm surprised. Why haven't you written a book?
Oh, I can't spell. No. Why have I written a book? I know, right? I don't know. If I knew that, I'd write a book.
Well, your story is an interesting one to tell, and you are, whether you like the term or not, I guess, a true survivor. So what message then do you have for people out there who are sitting in their apartments right now or watching this on a bus on their telephone thinking, my God, look at these people. Yeah, it's all well and good for them. They're living out and proud. I could never do that. I could never disclose. I could never speak about it.
I understand that, and you have to do what you have to do in your own time to do it. But I guess for them to know that, and I'm an example, as there are hundreds of examples and thousands of examples of people who are and have, and it's freeing and it's life-changing, and it takes courage, but again, in your own time, and finding that within yourself to do that. But there's a freedom on the other side of that is so worth it.
Jim, was there anyone that you worked with who you were particularly afraid of their reaction and thinking it would be a negative reaction, who then surprised you and embraced you when you thought, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin it for me between that person, but they actually came around and were very supportive?
Well, you know who I'm thinking of, and she's right over my shoulder. Is it that shoulder? Is that shoulder? Tammy! Tammy Faye. Tammy Faye, you would have thought that she would have been one of those people that's like, keep your distance. Because not only did she know about me, but John was very sick. He was actually had AIDS at this time. And so, but she was just quite the opposite, quite so embracing, so loving. If she hugged you, if she didn't hug you before, she would hug you 100 times afterwards. She was not afraid at all. Yeah, she surprised me because coming from such conservative Christian, where she had come from, you would think that that would not be the case. Now there are other people. Ted. I never told Ted Knight. Mm-hmm. He was gone. He died in '86. So I only knew for like 2 years, and in those early days, I was not tell anyone. Not anyone. It was just not a possibility. But I'm trying to think of anyone else. I think the greatest impact and the greatest influence on me was Tammy.
Yeah, well, she's there over your shoulder looking down and smiling, so that's a good thing. Jim, I could talk to you for a whole lot more time, but unfortunately, we are out of time. So thank you for stealing some moments out of your day to talk with me and talk with everyone on Plus Life through Plus Talk. It's been a real pleasure.
It has been a pleasure, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to find out more about Plus Life, you can follow us across all social media platforms. We are at Plus Life Media across all of them, or go to the website pluslifemedia.com. That's going to do it for this Plus Talk. I'll see you next time.